Okay, so we'll start from what we did yesterday based on some of our norms in terms of recap. So we'll do a very short recap, and after that, we'll answer some questions in Kahoot. Then we'll go straight into the next agenda. So I'll just quickly show you what the agenda will look like in terms of the things we need to do, okay? So in terms of agenda, this is what it's going to look like. Today, we are going to delve into project management. So we're going to talk a bit about the waterfall and the agile, right? Before we now go deeply into agile. So we'll just understand what it is in terms of the foundation, right, of project management. Then on Wednesday, we'll go straight into understanding full stack development, the different roles that you can have on a Scrum team, and software testing. So we'll do that on Wednesday. On Thursday, I'm not going to be around on Thursday, and I'm also not going to be around on Friday. Friday is a public holiday, so I won't be around on Friday. So we are not going to have class on Thursday and Friday. The recordings will be available so that you can watch them over time and also spend time with your family during that period. Next week, when we come back on Monday, we'll start with product management. So I'm going to tell you about product management, the difference between product and project management, the different forms of product management that we have, the product lifecycle, how to create a product vision, the strategy. Then I'll show you how to create a product roadmap, right? So after that, we'll now go into Agile. So Agile is going to be next week, Tuesday. We'll talk about Agile. We'll talk about the different frameworks we can have in Agile. Then we'll now start talking about Scrum. So we'll deep dive into Scrum and showing, explaining all the Scrum the framework, the events, the different ceremonies, how to operate those ceremonies, how to actually facilitate those events. And if you are not facilitating, what do you do as a member of a Scrum team? I'm going to be explaining all that. I'm going to be explaining all the terms that we use within Scrum. Definition of done, definition of ready, user stories, how to craft your user stories, acceptance criteria. I'm going to talk about the different agile estimations that are available so you have an understanding of it. Then we'll go through a simulation. That means running it from the beginning, what happens from sprint 0 down to the end of the sprint, right? So all the ceremonies, we run it together, and then we actually practice it together. So on Thursday, I'm not going to be around. I'll use that to set different groups up in terms of the groups, in terms of so that you can have access to your Jira, access to your Confluence. You know that this is your group, and you guys can start, talking together and all that. So I'm going to set that up on Thursday as well. And as well on Thursday, I have to attend a program as well. So that's what's going to happen. Then next week, Monday, we'll do products. Tuesday, we'll go into Agile and Scrum in details. By Thursday, we should start the simulation. Then the upper week, we round it up with the simulation while we all do it together. Then that ends the training. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay. So that's how the program is going to run. And as I said, I will open up the line also at 6:30, so that if you have any question, you can quickly you can ask me before we start the class at 7. Can you touch briefly on Kanban? Talking about, yes, I'm going to talk about the difference between Kanban and Scrum, because if you get to some organization, they will be doing Kanban. If you get some organization, they will be doing hybrid. So I'm going to talk about that as well. Yeah, that's under Agile. So Agile, there are different frameworks. There's Kanban, there's Scrum, there's Safe. So that's where I will talk about Kanban. Yeah, but we're going to deep dive into Scrum because Scrum is the most popular framework being used. Okay, any other question? Okay, so in the next 5 minutes, we'll do summary of what we did yesterday. Then we'll do a Kahoot. Then we'll go straight into project management. Okay. Some people were asking about my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is not up at the moment. I'm going to open it up tomorrow. So for those that were asking, so that you can, if you want to add me, you can add me. but I switched it off for a while, but I'll open it up tomorrow. I'll let you know when it's open up and you can have me. Okay. I'll go straight. Okay, I want to have my chat open so I can see when there's a question. Okay, chat is open. Have this in case there's a raising of hands. Okay, good. So yesterday we talked about IT strategy and governance. We talked about what is strategy, understanding IT strategy. We talk about IT master plan. We discuss about demand management, sources of initiative, prioritization, and IT governance. So we define strategy and actions, right? We talk about the planning cycle. We talk about things that don't change. The vision, mission, and values, they don't change, right? And we talk about the strategy, the corporate strategy changes, right? It happens between 3 years, 4 years, 5 years for different organizations, right? And we talk about how the IT strategy is a subset of the corporate strategy. We talk about how the IT business area enables the different business units within the organization. We talk about IT master plan, right? We said the IT master plan consists of the business-enabled initiative and the technology roadmap. Business-enabled initiative are the initiative that IT has gone around the business to gather to put together. Those are the business-enabled initiative, right? So IT is an enabler to the business. We also talk about technology roadmap. Technology roadmap are those initiatives where they have to do with technology issues, like they need to upgrade the technology, like if it's obsolescence, or it's because of the business requirement, technology needs to be updated, or based on technology evolution, based on government regulations, right? So these are the things that drives technology roadmap. And we said this technology roadmap and business enabling initiative makes up the IT master plan. The IT master plan is also known as IT roadmap. Some organization calls it IT roadmap. It's the same thing as IT master plan. We talked about examples of technology roadmap, right? We use email as an example. It gets updated, year by year. People look at, okay, this is getting obsolete. We need to move it. We need to change it. We need to upgrade it, right? So that's what technology roadmap is. We talked about IT master plan. IT master plan consists of business-enabled initiative and technology roadmap. We also talk about other sources of initiative. It can be legal, it can be audit, it can be based on market conditions, right? It can be what happened like in pandemic, right? So it can be any of these things. They are all sources of initiative. We also talk about how demand is managed, right? How it starts from the business requirements, it goes through the review by being prioritized by the ARB. We talk about ARB being Architecture Review Board, right? Is endorsed by the IT Management Committee. Those are the people that lead IT. Then is endorsed by the IT Steering Committee. That's the highest governing board for technology within any organization, right? So we talked about all that, how the business case is developed, how the solution design, architecture design is developed, and how the IT economist team will review. These are the finance team to review and say, yes, the cost benefit is okay. We are good to go. Start working on the project. And we talk about that the one at below is just initiative that come up that was not part of the IT master plan before, but based on situation, based on other requests, based on regulations, anything can come up. So that goes through another approval, then is added also into the master plan, to go through the process for implementation. We talked about prioritization. Why do we need to prioritize? Because some projects cannot be implemented until some other ones are implemented. There is a dependency, right? So if you want me to you want us to implement Salesforce, how can we implement Salesforce if we don't have any cloud infrastructure, right? So we need to first move some of our application to the cloud, or we need to move some of the infrastructure to the cloud so that we can have software as a service, right? So these are some of the dependency projects that you need to prioritize. You need to know why you are doing it. Some projects are more at risk. Maybe if we are on Windows 7 and we have some other applications we want to implement, we need to first migrate from Windows 7 to Windows 10 because Windows 7 is already end of life, which means we are going to be exposed, right? So we need to first make sure that we do those kind of projects. So there are different reasons why it can be dependency. It might be based on risk, based on benefit. So for this prioritization matrix, every organization has their own criteria. So based on that criteria, they will prioritize those projects, right? And we talk about this as an example of a prioritized project, right? So based on that, they will decide the project they need to do first and the one that will come in later. And they will be able to show it to the management that, okay, this is why we are doing this first and this is why we are doing this after, because they've checked all the dependencies. They've checked to ensure that this are the one that's risk, this one's are dependency, they have to be done before this. So that's why projects are always being prioritized. We talk about different governance, right? We said IT steering committee is the highest governing body, right? So when you think of IT steering committees, think of the CEOs, think of the MDs of the different business areas coming together, right, to decide the kind of technology project they are going to approve for the organization, maybe within that planning year, right? So investment review, but think of money, people that approve the money, people that look at the cost benefit, is it worth it, right? You know, the architecture review, but the architecture, those diagrams, right? Those, how the application will integrate with other things within the organization. This is their role, architecture review board, right? We talk about change change advisory board. Every organization, you hear things like CAB. We have CAB meeting, we have TAB meeting. CAB are just people that approve changes, right? For example, you have SAP, you have Workday. Now they want to implement Salesforce with your Workday. Those integration, those changes, the CAB, change advisory board, will approve it, right? TAB is the technical advisory board. They are just like, you know, the junior peeps. They are the ones that will actually do the technical requirement to ensure that it is possible. Then when they say, yes, it is possible, they pass it to CAB for approval. CAB is like the big boys, right? So we have the project steering committee. For every project, there is a project steering committee, people that direct the project. If your project manager is having issue on the project, they go to the project steering committee. If the consultant say we need to do this, and the project manager said, no, but we don't have approval for this, they go to the steering committee to get the approval. So that's how that works. But when in Agile, they don't, most time in Agile, we don't have project steering committee. What we have is there's a sprint review, right? Depending on your cadence for your sprint ceremonies, right? There's a sprint review where all the stakeholders will be available. Any changes you want to make, at that point, you discuss those changes. I will show you how those sprint review happens and how you can facilitate those sprint reviews. And if you are not the facilitator, what is expected of you within that sprint review. Change control board is also for project, right? So why I'm highlighting all these things is that even when you're running Scrum, in some organizations, they run hybrid. So some of these things might still be relevant in those organizations. And we'll talk about the different frameworks that are available. So when you get into an organization, you want to know the framework they are using, right? So sometimes they'll tell you, oh, they want a Scrum Master. But when you get there, you realize that, oh, maybe they are using Kanban. You want to understand the project management framework they are using, right? You want to know if they are using hybrid, right? So those are the things you want to check out for. You just don't start working. You want to understand what kind of framework do we actually use it? What do we do, you know, and all that. So these are the framework we discussed yesterday. And we also talk about where you sit within the organization, right? So we talk about the fact that all the things that I've been explaining happens within IT strategy, planning, enterprise architecture, innovation, and new business development. That's where it happens. You see some people, they say senior manager, innovation, right? These are the things they do. These are how they partner with the business to get all this information and to get all this approved. Then they pass it to the project for implementation, right? When it's done, they pass it to application, infrastructure for support, or application for support. If it's an application, if it's something that has to do with cloud, all those things, they pass it to infrastructure. Then service management is the front end. Those are the people that see the business, right? If the business have an issue with the application, those are the people they call. Those are the people that help them to resolve issues. They are the first level, right? They are the one that interact with the customer on a day-to-day basis, right? And that is how IT contributes to the business, right? And we have governance that is directing all this, and we have all this other support, information security everywhere, risk management, anything you're doing, either you're in strategy, either you're in project, either you're in operations, there's always information security, but controlling, making sure that things are working in the right way, right? So that's how the value chain looks like when it comes to technology. So those are the things we discussed yesterday. Today, we want to talk about IT project management. But before we talk about IT project management, I have a few questions I want to ask based on some of our team norms that we developed yesterday. And so we will do that now. It's just about 6 questions. Then we'll start with IT project management. So I want everyone to go to kahoot.it, and I'll give you the pin. Okay? So you can go to kahoot.it on your phone.
Sorry, what's the spelling?
Kahoot, Kahoot.it. Kahoot.it.
Hi, Florence. Sorry, I didn't still get you. Could you want to pop it in the chat for us, please? Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Is it join or just login?
I'm going to put it on the chat for you.
Okay.
Oh, someone
there,
did.
But I have one is saying join, one is saying login.
Join. Join. I will share the pin now. Join.
Okay. It says game pin.
Yeah, 1251316. 1251316. So click on join and use that pin to get in. Okay, I can see Oyin, Lola, Chini, Femi, Olu, Rebecca. People are joining now. Ine, Mama Bang, see you, Lauren. More people are joining. Okay, I can see Gabriel, I can see Annie, Kiki, Erica, Joanne, AB, Naya, B. Okay. Obi, Diola.
Sorry, the pin again.
1251316. It's showing on the screen, okay?
Okay.
You've seen it, okay? One more minute. I want to start. Okay, people are still joining. Let's give them 1 more second. Ready? Okay, let's do this. Okay, start. First question. I hope you can see this question on the screen. So the options are there. So you pick the options on your phone. Okay? You click on the color you feel is the answer. Okay? The question says an organization will generally have the following defined. Which one will generally not change? Good. A lot of people got it. So most people didn't answer. I guess they don't know how to use Kahoot. So the answer is strategies. The question was, we generally have the following defined. Which one of the following will change every couple of years, right? Not the vision, not the mission, not the core values. The strategy is what changed, right? Every planning cycle. Great.
Sorry.
So I realized a lot of people got it. So
Sorry.
very.
Sorry, Florence.
Hello?
Time me out, and it's telling me I'm on the 51st position. I mean, that's not me.
Yeah, in the first position.
No,
Let's see.
51st, 51. Like, I mean, that's like coming last. I'm sorry.
No. Maybe did you click on the answer?
It timed me out before I could even click on the answer. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Sorry.
So I'm
sorry.
like, okay, it's telling me you are 51st. And no. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. It's because it timed you out. It's fine. It's fine. I know it's time based, right? It also depends on how fast you are as well. Okay. So it doesn't matter. As long as you know the answer, that's what matters most. Okay. Yeah. Next question. So right now, B is leading. So B was the fastest singer. Then we have AB, we have Lara, we have Chini, and we have Tosin on the leaderboard. Okay, so let's
Sorry,
go
before
to
this one, we need the code again. Just, no, if you don't mind.
the code is 1251316.
1251316. Awesome.
Okay, so we go to the next question. The highest form of authority for IT governance is. So the options, we have IT Steering Committee. For red, we have ARB, that's the Architecture Review Board. We have the Project Steering Committee. We have the Change Control Board. So which one? Great. So we have about 30 people. That means people are listening. Yes. The IT Steering Committee is the highest governing board, for IT governance, right? So ARB is just for architecture. Architecture, that's for the solution design. The project steering committee is just for the project, and the change control board is also for the project. Okay? Good job. Good job. Chini move up. B is still leading. We still have the same leadership, but Onyi has moved 7 places up. Okay, great. Let's move to the next question. The next question is a true or false question. IT Master Plan, which is also known as the IT Roadmap, consists of technology roadmap and business-enabled initiative. True or false? Wow, great. Everybody got that. Yes, so that's correct. Yes, so the IT Master Plan is also known as the IT Roadmap, and it consists of technology roadmap and business-enabled initiative. Good job. You guys are listening. Glad. Okay, in Kiro, you moved up. That was fast finger. B is still leading. Chini, AB, Lara. I guess they are just the fastest finger. And sometimes it might be your network. So you don't think about this, because you might know it, but it might be your network. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is not one of the technology roadmap drivers? It doesn't drive the technology roadmap. Which one is not? Is not correct. Homeland is a movie, okay? So that is not part of the technology roadmap. All the rest as drivers, there are things that can change it. Technology evolution, things are changing, right? Industry standard, they can change the standard. For example, right now we use for wireless technology, I think we use Wi-Fi. I think we're on Wi-Fi 6 or something. It keeps changing. The standard keep changing, the generations keep changing, right? So I think we're on 5th generation now. So there's always evolution, right? So those are the things that drive the technology. Okay, great. I'm glad that you guys understand that. Gafa, good job. Ade, you're moving up. Okay, the leadership board is still remaining the same. Another question, true or false? Legal, regulation, audit, IT master plan, market condition are all different sources of initiative. True or false? Grace, yes, it is true. For those people the 6 people that picked first, this is true, right? They are all forms of sources of initiative. Remember when I said auditors can come, external auditor, they can come to review the way you work, and they will say, oh, you need to do this. They'll put in some remediation that you need to do. They can have a legal case, regulations. We talked about regulation yesterday when we said like, for example, when we talk about the housing one, that government is trying to put something in place where people that are not Canadian, that don't have residency, cannot buy a house, right? For visitors, you can't buy a house, right? So those are the kind of regulation. It will change, it will bring about a lot of different initiatives, right? So yes, they are all sources of initiative. So I think everyone is doing well. Oh, Chini, B, what happened? Did you pick the wrong one? Okay, the board has changed. Roland has moved up. I think this is the last question. I'm not sure. Project prioritization tool and team building exercise help with ensuring alignment with the strategy. True or false? Great. Everybody got that. Yes, it helps with aligning the strategic objective. Great. Let's see. Great. That's the last question. So we have AB, third position. We have Any as the second position. And for the first position, for the fastest fingers, we have Chini. Congratulations, guys. Well done. I'm glad that a lot of people got most of the answers. It shows that we are listening and we understand it. Okay, great.
Sorry, for it. I'm very upset.
Why? Don't worry.
I'm going to cry tonight and I will just get over it.
Don't worry. There'll be other opportunities. Don't worry. We still have a lot to do.
Okay, thank you.
It's fine. Yeah. There'll be other opportunities. Okay. Let me stop that. And I'll share my screen again for us to continue. Okay. Yeah. So we'll start IT project management. So what am I going to be explaining here? I'm going to be telling you what is a project, what is a program, and what is a portfolio. What is project management? The project life cycle. Everybody have been saying agile, agile, agile. We're going to talk about agile, right? Then project management processes. So that's what we're going to focus on today, okay? Now, so what is the learning outcome here? You're going to understand the basis of project management and you understand the different project life cycle. Okay, so I know we have some project managers here, and a lot of people have done PMP. So you can always chip in when you have something to say, but you raise up your hand so I will know you're there and I can call you. Okay, so I'll move on. So what is a project? What is a project? A project is a temporary endeavor. So what does that mean? It means that a project is something that has a beginning and an end, right? Sometimes what we do is not project, it's operation. When you are thinking of project, think of it as something that has a beginning and an end, right? If it doesn't have a beginning and an end, it's not the project. So that is what a project is defined as, right? So when you're doing a project, there's something you're trying to create, right? You are creating something unique. And that something unique you're creating can either be a product, it can either be a service or a result, right? So for you to bring a product to life, you need a project, right? For you to introduce new services, something new, you need a project, right? Now, when for example, we talk about when we were using Windows 7, right? We now upgrade to Windows 10. That upgrade, that enhancement, for it to happen, right? We need a project, because when we finish enhancing, when we move to Windows 10, we are not going to be doing that thing anymore. We are now already in Windows 10. So what we did to be able to move from that Windows 7 to Windows 10 is what we call a project, because it has a beginning and it has an end. So for you to understand what a project is, anything you're working on, as long as there's going to be an end, then you know that you're working on a project and you're going to create something unique. Okay, so that's what the project is. So why do projects exist? Why do projects exist? Projects are created to provide business value and deliver benefit. Remember, we're talking yesterday, we said that organization will plan, right? They will plan their initiative, they will plan their strategy for the next 5 years, because why are they doing all those strategy? They want to stay ahead, right? They want to be better than their competitors, right? So now when they plan all those things, initiative will come out, right? So that means we are going to get benefits. We're going to get value from it, right? So when projects are being created, they are created for us to get value. They are initiated because we want to explore an opportunity. Opportunity can be something different. It can be customer request, right? It can be a market demand. So when I say customer request, if you're doing a project, it might be for internal customers. For example, you're doing a project for someone in marketing department, or you are doing sales team said they want to implement Salesforce. Now, that's a customer request. We call them internal customers, right? You can also be a customer request in terms of external customer. Someone like Microsoft will come to my company and say, oh, we have finished, we just released a product, Windows 11. Or maybe the customer will say they want something, that they will say, oh, let's go and upgrade the current Explorer we have. Then we'll give you a new Explorer, right? Those, for Microsoft, the bank is a customer to them, right? So that's like external, right? So internal will be within the company, right? It can also be based on market demand, okay? I'm sorry, give me 1 minute. It can also be based on market demand, right? So now, when there's a problem to be solved, because at the end of the day, while we're doing the project, we want to stay relevant. Let's use Nokia as an example. I know you guys remember when Nokia was reigning. Nokia was in top of their game, right? I remember those days in 2000s, right? We used to use that Nokia 3310. They were on top of the game. Everyone that has a mobile phone wants to have Nokia, right? But it got to a point, Nokia was, even though they were the leader in the market, right? They continued the way they were doing things. They did not want to change, right? They were not listening to the customer. There were a lot of demand, but they were not changing. They were not responding to customer. Same thing happened with BlackBerry, So because people want to stay at the top of their game, right? So initiative will come up. Why? And that is why this project exists, right? So that we can create those business value. So that is the major reason why projects are created, right? They are created so that we can create value to stay ahead, right? It can either be within the organization or to external customers based on the kind of customers the organization is servicing. So we have operations. So what's the difference between operations and project? So for operations, these are work that are ongoing to support the business. So when you think operation, think of work that does not end, right? So when you talk about operation, that means it doesn't end. But when you think project ends. There is an end date for a project, but for operation, there is no end date, right? So when you think of operation, think of things that that help the company to stay afloat, right? So things like customer service, when you have like service support, service desk, those are operational work. When you get it, you are doing the same thing in and out, but a project will end, right? When you finish a project, when you go on another project, you do something new, something different, right? So that's the difference. So when you think of project, think something temporary, something unique, right? You're creating something new, a new house, a new home, a new car. But when you think of operation, think of something ongoing, repetitive, something that you need to sustain the business. Now, one thing you want to know is most time when a project is done, the project is transitioned to business operations, right? So when the project is finished, when you're done, you transition it to business operations, right? And that's when you see that for you to have a successful transition, they'll say, okay, let's train the employee on how to use the Salesforce tool. For example, they called you, or there's a project to implement Salesforce. They call upon you, you come in, you help them with the implementation. Now you've completed the implementation. But the business that requested for that Salesforce at the operation, you will not transfer that project to them when it's done. When you finally implemented the Salesforce, you transfer it to them. They will now start using it. You will train them on how to use it, then they will now start using it. That is when you can now say your project has been successful. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's different between project and operations. Another thing you want to know is governance, portfolio, and program. So we talk a lot about governance, right? So governance is the overall structure involved in setting policies and procedures for how work will be performed. So we've talked about the different governance we can have: IT steering committee, project steering committee. There are a lot of governance body. But for the project, most of the governance you see on the project is something we call the project steering committee. And you have the change control board, right? In some organizations, they have PMOs, right? So the PMO will also be like a governance body, depending on the kind of project management office they have. So when you're in an organization, you want to know if there's a PMO that exists and what kind of power they have, right? So, but most organizations for the project, you have a project steering committee and the change control board, right? Now, what is a portfolio? A portfolio is something that includes programs, individual projects. A portfolio is something that includes programs, individual projects, and related operational work grouped together to meet strategic objectives. So what is a portfolio? Portfolio is saying that, we've defined what a project is, right? We know what a project is, and we know what operations is. I'm also going to talk about a program, right? So all these things comes together. So they are grouped together and they call them portfolio, right? And they are there to meet that strategic business objective. Those objectives that the organization has set in place. All these things are there to meet those objectives. Sometimes you see a senior manager, they say senior manager, innovation business, something, right? But you may see a VP, right? VP capital market initiative or something like that, or capital management program. Sometimes they are managing a portfolio, right? So in that portfolio, they will have different projects that they are managing. They will also have some work that are just normal operational work, right? They will also have some program. So all those things combined together, they now classify them into different portfolios, right? So they will now say, oh, you are in charge of this portfolio, you are in charge of this portfolio. At the end of the day, all this portfolio, they are bringing it together to actually meet strategic objectives that the organization have put in place, right? Now, program, what is the program? How is a program different? Program is the same thing as project. But when it comes to program, it is related. Those projects are related, right? That is the difference. So any project that are related and you manage them in a coordinated way is what we call a program, right? So in that scenario, for example, in 2019, I was working on a project called Digital Transformation Project. program. So the program was a digital transformation program. So they were different projects, but at the end of the day, what we are trying to achieve is digital transformation. The project that we had under that digital transformation program was we wanted to do a mobile app development, right? We wanted to do workflow automation. We wanted to upgrade Windows 10 from Windows 7. We wanted to do Office 365 implementation. We also wanted to do digital meeting rooms, right? Meaning that in each room you go to, they want to turn it into digital meeting rooms where you can have big boards. People are working from home. You can have hybrid meetings and things like that. Because the plan is they were trying to go green. So they said we are going green. So one of the programs of that going green was to have a digital transformation program. They also, when they talk about they want to have digital meeting room, that means you won't have papers. You know, when you print papers, do all those, they won't have all that. Everything they are doing is electronic, right? They will use Office 365. That means we can share documents. If I want to use a document, I don't need to send it to Baba. I don't need to send it to Kemi. We are all going to be working on the same document together, right? So that's the possibility that Office 365 will help you with. So that program was called Digital Transformation. So that is a program because all the projects under that program, they are related, right? So they are managing it together, right? Because at the end of the day, most of the projects under that program are achieving the same goal, right? So when they do that, why they are doing that is that they want to be able to get benefit from it. Because when they manage it together, it's easier. They can get some benefits, right? They'll get some return on investment instead of having different projects. So they can use some of the resources all over again. You understand? So that's what a program is. Why portfolio is something that consists of program, projects. That means projects that are just there, that don't have their own a standalone project, and operational work. That means the ongoing repetitive work. That what makes a portfolio. So sometimes you see an SVP, when he's talking, he will be telling you about his portfolio, meaning the project is handling, the programs is handling, and the operations is handling. Okay? So we've talked about what project is. We've talked about what operations risk. We've talked about the governance that we can have within projects, which is project steering committee, change control board, right? Now, what is project management? Project management is the science and art that follows a systematic process, right? So when you talk about project management, there is a way in which you manage project. It's the application of knowledge, skills, some of the tools and techniques to manage a project, to meet project requirements and expectations. So when you say tools and techniques, when you say the science of project management, we are talking about things like budgeting, right? Estimation, communication. So when you say budgeting is there's a technique for you to manage a budget, right? So when you are given a budget for a project, how do you want to spend the money? How do you do this? The cost estimates, right, for each of your resources, putting the resources together, the infrastructure you are going to use, the materials you are going to use. So all those things, learning how to do that budget, learning how to do that cost estimation is a technique, is a science of project management, right? Ability to understand communication. How do I want to communicate? How many people do I need to communicate to, right? So if I have 20 people on this project, how do I communicate with them, right? So what will my communication style be, right? Will I be pushing out information? Because for everyone on the project, you need to understand their role, right? Are they going to influence your project, right? What impact do they have on your project? You are going to do that stakeholder matrix to understand each person's role, because it will affect the way you're going to communicate with them. So that's the science of project management. Now, when you talk about the art of project management, we are talking about emotional intelligence, right? You're talking about the interpersonal skills of the project manager. You're talking about your influencing skills. You're talking about how can I organize things, right? And for every project manager, they have their own special skill, right? Like for me, one of my greatest skills is removing ambiguity. So I know how to look at something that has chaos, something that is not clear. I know how to make it clear. I know how to make it clear for people to understand in terms of, putting it together for my stakeholder, for my executives to understand what we are trying to do and what we are trying to achieve. So eliminating those ambiguities is one of my core strengths, right? I know how to look for solutions in something that is a bit not clear to make it clearer. Some project manager, their core skill is negotiation. They know how to negotiate, right? So you need to understand what your own skills are in terms of, so for you to be a good project manager, you need to understand the science of project management and the art of project management. So that's what makes you a good project manager. And I said the science consists of things that have to do with the techniques like budgeting, communicating, time management. How do you do estimation, right? How do you do scheduling? How do you do work breakdown structure? Those are the science. Then we also have the art aspect of project management, okay? So effective use of project management ensure that organization is focused on the most important work and have the work done correctly in the most time and cost-effective management. So what they're saying that if you apply project management to what you're doing, right, you can focus more on what is important because it will help you manage your work properly so that you can get success from it. So that's what project management is in a nutshell. When you understand that the project manager has both the science and the art aspect, and for you to be successful, you need to have both skills, okay? Any questions before I go on? Okay, no question. Great. So project life cycle, right? So project life cycle, we have two types majorly. So we have the plan-driven or the change-driven, right? So we have the plan-driven and the change-driven. So for the plan-driven, those kind of project management, we call them the waterfall approach. That is the common one that we know, right? The waterfall, the traditional life cycle, right? So that's the common one. So that's what we call the predictive life cycle. So in this situation, what do you do here? You plan ahead, right? You plan, you determine your scope, your schedule, your cost earlier enough before the project starts. When we talk about putting all these business cases together, doing all the cost benefit, the details, you plan it ahead. So that's what we call plan driven. This kind of life cycle, project life cycle, is common in construction, right? They do a lot of this in construction. Even some technology companies still do that, right? Depending on the kind of project they're implementing, they still do a plan-driven approach, right? So that is the first one. The second one is the change-driven approach. So for the change-driven approach, that's the one we call the iterative model, right? We call it incremental, the adaptive, agile. So when all this agile you hear, agile life cycle, agile project, they are called the change-driven project, right? So what's the difference between these three? So some of them will tell you that they use iterative method. Some will tell you they use incremental method, and some will tell you they use adaptive method. So what is the difference between the three? For iterative is just saying that I want to start something and keep making it better and keep making it better, right? So iterative, I want to build a website, right? So I will plan on focusing on creating a prototype of the entire website. I'll create the home page, service page, about page, contact page. I'll create the whole page, right? I'll now say, this is what it looks like. I've created a prototype. I'll tell you this is what it looks like. I'll show you the skeleton that this is it. It doesn't mean that it's working, or it's not working, but I've showed you what it looks like. Then I will now start iterating it, making it better, making it better, making it better until it is complete and fully functional. So that's iterative, right? I'll start with a skeleton and I'll keep adding to it and making it better, making it better. But I have the old skeleton, home, about, service now, contact us, but it's not working. But as I'm iterating it, I keep making it better till everything is fully functional. That's iterative. Now, incremental. is the one that you say you want to make a website, but you first start, let's do the home page. We'll do the home page. Everything is functional, is fully functional. After we finish the home page, you will now say, let's go to the about page. We'll also do the about page. We gather the requirement, we put it into iteration, we deliver that function of the portion of that part is done. After that, we say, okay, let's go and do services, right? We now do that of services. When we're done, we now do that of contact. So that's what we call incremental. I am adding to it, right? I am adding to it, right? So can we say incremental is like decomposition? So you know decomposition is like a technique, right? So decomposition is when you are breaking things down, right? So if you say incremental is like decomposition, the way I say incremental is more like you have something, you are adding to it. You are adding to it, right? So you keep adding to it to make it to have more functions, right? Let's say that your phone can only make phone call, right? So the next feature you release, your phone can now take pictures. You've added to it. That's incremental, right? The next thing you did, your phone can now do text messages, is incremental. So decomposition is more like I have something big and I want to start breaking it down into smaller pieces, right? So that you are decomposing it, you are breaking it down, okay? So incremental is you are adding functions to what you already have, right? To make it bigger or to have more capabilities, okay? So for iterative would be something like you have all the details of your phone. You have the details in terms of phone call, text messages, camera, and all that, but they can't work. But you know that you have everything. You are now iterating it until everything can now work at the same time. That's iterative. Okay, I believe that is clear, right? So now for some organization, they will combine both iterative and incremental life cycle. So you get to some organization, we use both the iterative and incremental life cycle to operate our project. Then the adaptive, right? The one that you know as agile, right, is a situation where they have something we call they have a fixed cost and a fixed schedule, but the scope is broadly defined, right? They don't define the details of those requirements. They'll tell you, let's be agile, let's be adaptive in nature. So I'll tell you, I have $1 million and I want us to build this Salesforce application, right? We don't know the requirements of what they need. We don't know what sales needs. We don't know what HR needs. We don't know what marketing needs. But we know we have a rough idea of what they want. So we've defined the scope broadly. We have an idea, but we don't know the full details, right? But we have been given budget. So the budget they will give us will be like a rough order magnitude budget. They will estimate it, they will add plus or minus 50% to that budget, right? So they will give you that budget and they'll tell you they want this to be implemented within 1 year. So you will now be adaptive in such a way that you now start delivering that project. So that's where you see the agile method coming. We do some features for sales, we do some features for marketing, we go back, we review, we keep reviewing, we keep getting it done till we are able to finalize. It doesn't mean that because they've given us fixed cost and fixed schedule, nothing can change. It can change because as you are building those things, the customer can be requesting something new, then it keep changing, right? But the idea of agile is that we've given you money, we've given you the schedule, the timeline. We don't really have the full scope, but start working on something. Okay, so that's the agile. And in some organizations, they will now combine the two, both the predictive and adaptive life cycle. So in some organization, when they say, we use the hybrid methodology. Okay, so when you hear things like, oh, we use the hybrid methodology, they are telling you that they use both the plan-driven and the change-driven. In some organization, when they say we are looking for a project manager / scrum master, when you start seeing roles like that, they are telling you they are using both. You do some of the work of project management and some of the work of a scrum master. So they are using both. Okay, so those are the project life cycle that we have, and that is what they do. Any question? Okay, so let's paint a scenario. So we have company A and we have company B. So let's say they want to do a project, they want to launch a product. Remember we said a project is something that they produce something unique, and that something unique can either be a product, it can either be a service, it can either be a result. So imagine company A and company B want to launch a product. So company A is using this method. They want to gather requirements. What do the user want? Do you think they need this product? They are trying to create an approach to manage their delivery. That, okay, what do they think? They're asking all the stakeholders, understanding what the function, documenting those requirements. So after they finish documenting those requirements, they are saying, okay, let's design something. They are doing like a conceptual design. Okay, let's put this together. Okay, let's go and get approval for the design. Okay, the design, okay. Are you okay with the design? Yes, we are good with the design. Oh, everything is fine. Okay, good. Okay, can we now start developing it? Then they will now start developing those requirements that they've designed. They will start developing it. After developing it, they'll say, okay, we finish developing. Can you now test? They will now test. Can you now validate? Let's imagine that all this thing they are doing is taking them like almost 8 months to deliver it. That's company A, because they are going to gather requirements. They will now do development, design, they will develop it, they will now plan, they will now do, after they do the coding, they will now do testing, they will now deploy, they will now close it out, they will now, say, customer, we are done, right? Now, imagine company B. Company B will say, okay, they want to do the same thing, right? But they will now say, okay, why company A in month, let's say, it's taking them 8 months, but in month 4, they are still doing design, putting it together. Let's say in month 4, company B now said, oh, we want to launch something, right? They are also thinking like that they want to launch a product, right? So they will now say, okay, let's start. Company B will now say, okay, can we just look at it? We want to do this, but we don't have all the full details. But they will think about it and say, what would be the minimal viable product? Right? So I'll use the phone as an example. We want to launch a product. The product is our phone. But what will be the minimal viable product for this minimal viable product? That means what is the minimal function we can release that people can start using? Okay, for a phone, I'll say at least they should be able to make phone call. Like if they can't do any of that, they should be able to make phone call, right? So company B will now quickly do a design just for phone call. You know what company A is doing? Company A is gathering all the requirements. They are doing, you should be able to make phone call. You should be able to do a text, be able to record music. You should be able to take picture from the front, from the back. That's what they are doing. And they are doing all the designs. Company B is now saying, okay, this should be able to do phone. They even want it to do text. They want it to do everything. But they say, oh, you know what? Let's just release that first one. So company B will now quickly do that. In 2 months, they will now release that, right? When they release it to the customer says, oh, there's a new product. It's meeting our need. We can make phone call. Company B has released it to the market. They've gained the market share. Now they can make phone calls. Okay, people are making phone calls. People will now say, oh, as I'm making phone calls, sometimes I don't like to talk. Can I send a message? The company, the customers are now driving that product. They will now start documenting it. Company B will now start documenting the customer wants this phone to be able to make text messages. They will now start looking at the features that the customer wants. For their next release, that is what they will release out again, right? They will release it based on what the customer wants urgently. As the customer is adding more features, as the customer is saying, oh, they want something that they'll be able to, that can show their face while they are talking to someone, the customer, they are doing that. The company B is doing that already, right? So company B is already releasing. But look at what company A is doing. Company A is still waiting to gather all the requirements. Then they will now start building. Then when they now finish building, they will now say, customer, come and test all the requirements to get. Customer say, oh, did we request for that? Oh, did we? Because they can't even remember they requested for it, they will now bring out a book and start marking it. Okay, yes, we requested for this. Yes, we requested for it, but they can't even remember. But company B is already in the market, right? They are already in the market. They are making sure the customer is driving it. So that MVP is their first release. there's something they can release that is usable. Then they will now start having other releases. So release 2, release 3, release 4, release 5. So someone in company A will now be thinking, is it that someone in our company is giving company B our trade secrets, right? So, but that is not what is happening. Nobody is giving them that trade secret. Company B approach of implementing projects or launching a product is just different. They are using the thing we call the agile methodology. Why company A is using the plan-driven approach. So that's what differentiates the two of them. Okay, so what company A, this is what they are doing. They are using that traditional model. Well, where you have the demand, you go through initiation, you do your concept design development, you now do your requirement definition. You see them having their business case, functional requirement, non-functional requirement. They'll start detailing everything. They will do the design. When they finish the design, they will now do planning. This is how much it's going to cost us. They will do all these estimates, either bottom up, they will calculate everything, then they will start developing. Then when they finish developing, they will test, then they will now deploy. That is the traditional way of managing projects. That is what company A is doing. What is company B doing? Company B is saying, we don't want to do that, right? Company B will take a bit of it and quickly implement and send it out. After they send it out, features will come, updates will come, they will do another one, they will send it out. So what they do, so imagine company A is doing something for 8 months. Company B will take one part and do it for 1 month. In that 1 month, they will quickly define that requirement, they will plan, they will design, they will do the testing, they will develop, they will deploy, right? When they deploy, they will look at the outcome of what they've deployed. People will give updates. When the people give updates, they will quickly go and do another one. They will update it. You can see how iPhone is always releasing phone every now and then. Every feature, everything we are saying, they will quickly take it. They will release it again, right? You see when Spotify, there was a time Adele commented something on their site. They took that feature, they updated Spotify, they released the new version. You understand what I'm saying? So they are letting customers drive their product. They are quickly gaining customer share, right? So that's different. So some organizations, that's why you see a lot of organizations right now. They'll say, we want to do this agile method. We need people that understand agile, people that know Scrum. Come and help us. Can you help us? We want to follow this methodology. We need people that understand this methodology because they don't want to follow that plan-driven anymore. They also want to be in the market on time. They want to gain the market share, right? So a lot of organizations want to start using this agile methodology. Even though a lot of technology uses agile methodology, now it is spreading wide. They are using it in HR, they are using it in finance, and everybody wants to start using this agile methodology. Okay, so that's the difference between the two organizations. So this is what the agile development life cycle looks like, right? So when the project initiation is done, right? When the vision has been done, they've done the return on ROI, everything has been approved, right? We've decided if we are doing build or buy. Build or buy just means, are we going to build internally within the organization? Are we going to buy? Buy means that we are not building anything. We want to buy the product like Salesforce. We want to do service now. Those products already exist. But when you say build, is a custom. So when you get to an organization and they say it's a custom application, what that means is that application was developed within the organization. Okay? So when you hear things like vendor application, it means that the organization did not develop that application. We bought that application, right? And we customize it to our processes. So we will say, vendor, Salesforce, give us this application. ServiceNow, give us this application. We'll now look at our process. We'll now modify it, customize it to us. But if we do a custom application, that means we build it. That means our developer internally did the coding themselves. So that's the difference between build or buy. So you'll be seeing them in meetings. They'll say, no, are we building? Are we buying? Or what's this decision? So you'll be hearing things like that, right? So they will build a roadmap for that product. I will show you how a roadmap is done, right? So after that, they will now do a release planning. So release planning is the first one, that minimal viable product. They'll say, okay, this is the minimal viable product. We want this phone to be able to make a phone call. They will get approval, then they will start iteration 0. So iteration 0 is what most organizations call sprint 0. So what do they do in sprint 0? They are saying that, okay, let's get ready. What do we need to be able to get this done? Have you looked at the environment? What infrastructure do we need? Oh, you want to implement Salesforce? Oh, you can't implement Salesforce. We first need to move some of our infrastructure to the cloud. Oh, okay. What does the architecture look like? You know, all those details, right? They will do that. Oh, are we going to need training? Oh, the team does not even understand Agile. Can we train them on Agile first? All those, that's what they do in sprint 0. In some organizations, sprint 0 can take 3 weeks. In some organizations, it can take 1 month, right? So when all that is ready, then they will now start doing developmental iterations, right? Now, this developmental iteration means that they will start doing sprints. This agile development, they will build. When they finish building, they will keep in some organization. Now, this iteration, some people will do 1 build, 2 build, 3 build, 4 build, then they will now release. So you know when we say MVP, MVP is just the release. That's release 1, right? There is still other release 2, release 3, release 4, release 5. MVP is just the first release, minimal viable product, the first release you are coming now, something that is releasable, right? For you to start using the product. Now, it doesn't mean that when you finish 1 sprint, you are going to release the product. So you might have to do like 4 sprints, right? I'll tell you how a sprint is done, but just have it in mind that you might have to do like 4 sprints before you have that minimal viable product, right? Some people, they might have to do like 10 sprints before they have that minimal viable product, right? But what it means that those sprints is what they are calling that development iteration, right? So they can have up to 10 sprints, depending on the organization. I'll tell you what a sprint consists of, right? So when they finish, then they will now release that product into production. Then people can start using that product. People will now tell you, there's a defect, there's an issue. Anytime I make a phone call, it doesn't show me the name of the person I'm calling. People will now start, for the next release, they will now start looking at the bugs to say, okay, let's fix the bugs. Let's make it better for the next release. Let's add more features to it, right? And the process will continue like that, right? So when the process continues like that, that's why we need someone we call a product manager, right? Because if you're a project manager, it means that when the product is into operations, when it has been released, your work has been done. But if you're a product manager, you don't finish. You continue to work with the product. You continue to work with the product. That's why you are seeing a lot of product manager requests right now. So when you are saying the product to manage is Salesforce, right? That means you continue to manage that product. As long as the organization is using that product Salesforce, you continue to manage it. You understand? So that's what makes you a product manager. When the product is in operation, you don't stop. You keep supporting. You keep updating the features, right? That's the difference between a product manager and a project manager. A project manager, it ends when the result has been gotten. But a product manager will continue to manage it. So that's the difference between the two of them. Okay? Any question?
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry, I forgot to raise my hand. I'm in transit.
Okay.
My question is really around the product management part. So do you have to be like an SME? Like, do you have to know the product to be a product manager?
We are going to get into that on Monday, but I'll give you a short listing about it. It depends, because there are different kinds of product managers. We have the growth managers, we have the technical product managers, we have people that focus on marketing the product, right? For some organization, you are going to do the end-to-end for the product, right? So for you, when you're going to do the end-to-end for the product, is more, you need more skills. That means you need to understand the products. You also need to be good when it comes to communication, talking to customer, doing ability to launch a product, knowing all those details. So for those kind of product manager, that is crazy, right? But the truth is that it's better for you to know the product. You have more confidence, but it doesn't mean you have to know the product. If you understand how to operate as a product manager is good. But when you know the product, for example, if I'm going to be a product manager for Salesforce, I want to know the product, right? If people are telling me they want to do this and I know it's not possible, I should be able to tell them that, it might not be possible. But if you don't know anything, that means you're going to be relying on the technical people all the time that, okay, they want to do this. Then, oh, no, did you agree to that? No, we can't do that. That's not possible. That's a dependency. But if you understand the product, you should be able to help. So it's better to understand the product. It gives you a better background. But the truth is that you don't have to.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Lauren?
Okay.
Hi. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was wondering, is it possible for the product manager and the project manager or the Scrum Master, can they be the same person, or there always has to be a distinct product manager? Can the product manager also manage the team in terms of the product's life cycle and development?
Okay. Great question. The product manager, in some organization, you have product manager, you have the Scrum Master on the same team, right? So the Scrum Master is focusing more on the development team. I will explain that when we get to Scrum. He's focusing on the development team, right? Making sure that the development team is happy, right? The product manager is the one bringing all the things the development team want to do. But the Scrum Master is making sure that the product manager is not overwhelming the development team, right? The Scrum Master is working with the product manager to say, okay, these are the work we're going to do next. These are the things we need to do, right? So the product manager is like, let's say, the business. I don't mean literally the business, but the product manager is the one having that discussion with the stakeholders to say, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what we're working on, this is what the team is doing. But the Scrum Master is there to shield the development team, right, from every external forces, right? So that's the role of the Scrum Master. So you see Scrum Master and Product Manager on the same team, and that was what makes up the Scrum team. Some organization will call them product owners, right? So that's what makes that Scrum team. Now, in some organization, they will have project managers, right? Because the project manager, it might be a big project. So the project manager is dealing with all the budgeting, putting all those things in place and all that. Then they will now have a Scrum Master just focusing on the development aspect. Okay, you guys are focusing on development, but the project manager is making sure that the budgeting, the cost code, all those things are in place, right? But in a situation where you have project manager, Scrum Master, product owner on a team, there's always conflict. There is always conflict because some of the works will be, there will be overlap of work. So what most organizations do is, if they have things like that, they will see them developing roles and responsibility. Who is doing this? Who is doing that? Who is doing this?
Okay, thank you. So just to follow up on that, in your example about the phone, the cell phone, in such a project, is it worthwhile to have both the product manager and a Scrum Master in that team?
Yes, that's what you find common. That's the most common one. You have a product owner and a Scrum Master. That's what you find in the common. So the product owner will be the one saying that, oh, this is what the customers are saying, is the one putting the surveys together, is the one analyzing the feedback from the customer, saying, okay, these are the products we need to focus on next. Is the one prioritizing the backlog. Okay, these are the features people are talking about. So please, there's a bug. You know what? In the next sprint, I want you guys to focus on the bug. The Scrum Master will look at it and say, okay, if you want us to focus on this bug, some of the features we wanted to do, can we move them back to backlog because my team will be overwhelmed? I've looked at their velocity. They won't be able to actually finish all those work. They've estimated it. I think we're able to do the bugs and just 2 more features. You know, the development team, the Scrum Master is making sure the development team is all right. They are doing the job. Because the Scrum Master understand the development team. He's feeling them, he's checking the details of their work, is making sure everything is working fine. So you always have that Scrum Master and the product owner. In very rare occasion, in some organization, that's when you now have a project manager, a product owner, and a Scrum Master. That's too much. Okay. But in a situation, in some organization, you have a project manager. That project manager will be the one doing the Scrum Master work, right? And the product owner work. That one is the killer. Okay?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, Joy. Joy?
Yeah, I was unmuting. Hi, Florence.
Hello.
So I was just going to ask, I'm just trying to understand the rationale behind a product owner, for example, not understanding the product. Is it actually feasible or possible, like a product owner would not understand how a product works? How is that product owner supposed to function? I'm just saying, though I know you did mention it's actually quite important, but you said it's also not exactly mandatory. So I'm wondering how that works. And then I was going to ask also, so can we say the sprint process, sprints are composed of multiple iterations? I'm asking, question mark.
Okay. So your first question is very rare. A product owner needs to understand their product, right? But I've seen situations where a product owner does not really understand the product, but over time they learn, right? So depending on the organization and the opportunity they want to give to you. But the truth is that if you are coming in as a product owner, they expect you to understand the product you are coming to manage, right? And some organization, they'll tell you start as a business analyst. When you have worked with that product for a while, then you can now become a product owner, for that product, right? But it's very rare for you not to understand the product. It's very rare. So, I said so because I know that it can happen, but it's very rare, right? So you need to understand the product. That's why product manager, product owner role can be more, like you need more, right? Some people say they are consultants. Now, those consultants, sometimes their work is to do the product owner work. That's what they will do when they get to the organization, right? So you need to understand the product, okay? For the second one, you said the sprint, is this sprint that forms iteration?
Like, yes, can we say iteration processes make up a sprint or something? Yeah, something.
So one iteration can be a sprint. You understand? I told you iteration is to make it better, right? So some organization will say one iteration is a sprint. Some organization, one increment is a sprint. So when you finish a sprint, you release something. There's something incremental you're adding to what you've done before. You understand? Sprint is a process. I will explain that process to you because it has a lot of events within it. Some organization will say that sprint is 2 weeks. Some will say it is 4 weeks, and I will explain what happens within that. So that sprint, you can say is one iteration, right? That sprint, you can say is one increment, right? So what do I mean? So when you say it's one iteration, because you can have like 3-4 iterations before you can have something that you can release. One sprint, you can do it and it's an increment. What do I mean by increment? It might be maybe you fix bugs and all those, but you have to release it when you finish fixing all the bugs, right? So that's an increment. So it depends, right? So it can be an iteration, it can be an increment. Okay?
Okay, sorry again. So just the way to be a product owner now, it seems like for project management now, we know we have something like PMP. For business analysis, some people will talk of CBAB, though I've come to know it's not exactly mandatory. So for products owner, is there any certification, or once you have a blend of everything, maybe the CBAB, the project management, PMP, the person can now, maybe Scrum Master, then the person can claim product owner role?
Yeah, you've gotten it. That's it. So if you understand, because for you to be a product manager, you must have project management skills. You must have business analysis. You must be able to understand how to elicit requirement, how to do discovery sessions, right? You should be able to understand how a Scrum work, a Scrum team work, because you'll be part of a Scrum team. So ability to have all those knowledge can make you a good product manager, meaning you also know the product you are managing. You see? You understand? So let's say the product you're managing is Salesforce. That means you know that product, right? You understand how a Scrum team works. You can function within a Scrum team. You have project management experience. You understand how to elicit requirement. Then you're having a function of being a good product manager. Now, it depends on the kind of product manager you have. If you're also going to be doing growth, marketing, and all that, you might need to also learn some marketing skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might need to learn how to do those interactions, how to launch a product, all those kind of things, right? So being a product manager is massive, especially if you are being a product manager in all these top organizations like Amazon Web Services, Google, Microsoft, and all that, right? But sometimes you can start being internal product managers, right? Maybe you work in a bank, just focus on being a Salesforce product manager or a ServiceNow product manager, or just pick some kind of product that you can easily grow from there, right? So it depends on the organization you are working for. We'll deal with product management on Monday, so I won't want us to spend so much time.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Jane.
Hi, mine is more like a comment. So I currently work as a product manager, and from what you've explained, it feels like I've always wondered what the difference between a product owner and a product manager is. But in my current company, it feels like we're jack of all trades because we don't have a product owner, we don't have a Scrum master. The product manager pretty much does everything that you just described, and I found it overwhelming sometimes, and I find it somewhat confusing. Like, are we product owners? Are we product managers? And I don't really understand that thin line between a product manager and a product owner. Maybe just because this is my role, we do pretty much everything that you mentioned, and we don't have all these other roles.
So in that scenario, the product manager is trying, because I can tell you that's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work, especially with the fact that it's also managing the Scrum team. That means it's trying to fill the Scrum team. Even if the Scrum team is not happy, he doesn't care. Because at the end of the day, I won't lie, why I said he doesn't care is that he's trying to get the work done in terms of, you say, these are the features we need to release. But it's only the development team that will be pushing back that, oh, this is what we can do. Right? There is nobody helping to shield that development team. That's the role of the Scrum Master. Because the product manager is trying to favor himself too, right? He'll be pushing the work to them, right?
Yes, so and you also have to face the stakeholders to explain to them why this feature can't be or had to be prioritized at the same time too. So it's always like facing two opposing teams.
Exactly. So nobody is shielding the team, and you also have to face the stakeholders. So it's a lot of work. So in those scenarios, you will learn, but the truth is that it's too much, right? So that's why sometimes when you want to apply for a role, you look at the job description very well to say, oh, hope these people are not taking me to come and do all the work, right? So when you understand what each of these roles does, it helps you to know which roles to apply for. Yeah. So product manager can be a lot ethic. So when you say product owner is more on the Scrum team. It's just a role name that is given to someone on the Scrum team, right? So the organization can call it product manager. The organization can even call it someone from the business. They just call that role product owner, meaning that's the person that deals with the business. That's the interface, the person that do that integration to the business. Is the person that the business is accountable for the business on the team. So that's the name Scrum calls that role, product owner. But most organizations call those roles product manager and all that. Okay. There's a question here that says, can we say the project manager is for the operations and program? No. Project manager is for the project. Program manager is someone that manages multiple projects. You know, when I explained that digital transformation, right? So those different projects, you are managing more than one project. Then you are a program manager. Okay? Operations manager is operations manager. Okay? Do you have any suggestion to offer us when reading job description to help us read between the lines to accurately determine when multiples are being combined, to be able to avoid scenario just mentioned by my classmate? By the time we finish this training, you will be able to determine. We are still going to do product. So when you see those things, you will be able to tell, right? You will see those lingos. You know that, oh, when you see something like project manager / Scrum master role, you should know that you are going to do the two, right? You get what I'm saying? So by the time we finish this training, you should be able to decide. You'll be able to see through those rules and see through those details. Can we say product owner is the same thing as procurement manager? No, it's not the same thing. Procurement manager deals with procurement. They are in the procurement department, right? That's what they do. They are focusing on procurement, getting new vendors to the organization, right? A product owner is part of the Scrum team. He's the one that interfaces with the business. Let's say we want to implement Salesforce. The product owner is the one that will talk to the business like sales, marketing, and say, okay, we want to implement Salesforce. Okay, do you want to have your leads? In what way do you want to, what kind of field do you want to have for your leads? And things like that. Okay, what features? Okay, we did this. Okay, can we improve on this? So is the product owner that is interfacing with the business, is the one standing in that Scrum team to say, oh, this is what we are doing next. This is the goal of our next sprint. The business want to see this, want to see that. The procurement manager is just someone within the business that is helping with vendor management. We want to procure, depending on what we want to procure. If we are procuring infrastructure, or we are procuring something from Microsoft licenses, that's the job of the procurement manager, okay? It's not part of the Scrum team. Okay, great. So we move on. So where we will stop today, I'll just quickly go through project management process, right? So that when you get to organization, when you see things like that, you understand what they are trying to do, okay? So for project management process, they have 5 process groups. We call them initiation, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing project. So if someone is managing a project, these are the process group they expect you to go through, right? So when you have a project manager within your organization, this is all the processes they will be working on, right? They will initiate the project. So what do they do when they initiate the project? You can, if you look at this diagram beside it, you can see this diagram online. Under initiating process group, you should be able to develop project charter and identify stakeholder. Only 2. If you look at that column, look at it down, you can see only 2 processes. So they should be able to do that 2 processes in initiating, right? To develop a project charter and identify stakeholder. So when they're identifying stakeholder, they want to know all the stakeholder that will impact the project, that will be able to influence the project. So they will know all this. So after they finish initiating, then they will go to planning. Under planning, they have to develop project management plan. They plan the scope, they collect requirement, they define the scope, they create work breakdown structure. So they will have to plan before they then start executing, monitoring, and when they are done, they will close the project. So that's what they do. So if you are managing project, these are all the processes, almost 47 or 48 processes you have to go through. Now, for these 48 processes, they have different, what PMBOK, this is PMBOK, right? What they've done is that they've met with a lot of people. They've done a lot of interviews. They now said, we have put this guide together for you if you want to manage a project. These are the things we think you should do for you to have a successful project, right? They put it together. These are the things you should do for you to have a successful project. Now, this is just a guide that PMI has put in place. They call it PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge. But it doesn't mean that every organization will do this, right? Every organization will now adapt it to suit them. But you will still have this same 5 process group in every organization, right? Initiating the project, planning the project, executing the project, monitoring and controlling the project, closing the project. You will still have everything, but it doesn't mean that they will do everything inside. Okay, let's say, for example, now, you can see procurement. Some organization might not be dealing with procurement. Maybe most of the projects they do are internal. They don't need to procure anything. So they won't need to plan for procurement. They won't conduct procurement. You understand what I'm trying to say? They will adapt it to suit their organization, right? But what PMBOK has done is that for you to do project charter, they detail everything you need there. All the guidelines of how you should do a project charter, they detail it. So that's why for people that want to be project manager, they'll say, go read the PMBOK. Just go and read it, because it will help you in terms of the things you need to do while you are doing initiation, while you are planning, while you are executing, while you are monitoring, and while you are closing the project. So that is what it entails in project management. So I'll just explain the 5 process group, and if we have time, we'll do the Kahoot and we'll end it for today. Okay? So what happens in this initiation group? You know, the part I told you in strategy, when they've actually approved the budget for you to start the project, and they will not say, oh, they've approved the money. Most time when they don't have project manager, you see them, they'll send recruit, like HR will send recruitment out. We need HR. We need HR. We need project managers. Can you quickly recruit from us? We can't go through the long project. Can you get contractors to help us with managing this project? At this point, you're saying that you are formally, this initiation processes, this is when you formally approve that project. Like, you can start this project. At this point, you're saying you can start this project. Remember, that project is trying to solve a problem, right? It's trying to solve a need, right? So we are finding a solution. That means a business case has already been done. A decision-making document has been put in place that, yes, we are doing this. Remember what is in your business case, right? The pros and cons, the risk for each of the options you are picking, what is the recommendation. So let me give you an example of what a business case looks like now. You'll see something like they'll say, oh, we want to automate our workflow. So we need to implement a software. They will not say, okay, the business analyst or sometimes the product owner will put all the details together, the objective, the goal, and everything. Then he will now put the different options. We have Salesforce, we have Zoho, we have this. He will now call them different options. Option 1, option 2, option 3. It will tell you the pros of Salesforce, the cons of Salesforce, the pro of Zoho, the cons of Zoho, the pro of SAP, the cons of SAP. What are the risks associated with it? He will not do all those things. He will not do the benefit cost, like the cost analysis, how much it will cost us, what are the benefits. So when he finished all that, he will now say, but I am recommending us to implement Salesforce because of so. That is the business case. The IT steering committee will now approve that business case. Then when that business case is done, they will now say, okay, we can now start implementing the project. They will now say, oh, project manager, see, this is the document. See the project charter. We have a project charter that has been developed. We hand it over to it. It says, project manager, you now have the authority to start spending money. You have the authority to start using resources within the organization. So that's what that project charter is saying. You have the resources. So if there is no project charter, who are you going to take you serious? Like, it's like somebody saying that, oh, Messi, I have given you a job offer. Yeah. So they will now send you a letter, offer letter. Do you think if HR calls, let's say HR will call logistics, please, can you procure laptop for Messi? Because Messi has been given an offer. You know what procurement will ask HR? They say, has she signed it? If you have not signed it, then Messi has not collected the offer until Messi signs it and returns that letter that I have taken this offer. Yes, then that is what gives them authority to start procuring laptop, to start doing so. So they can now start using the organizational resources. That's what a project charter is to a project manager, right? It gives you authority to start using organizational resources. I can now start discussing with different resources, different functional management that I need this developer. Can I get this quality, this tester? I need this tester on my project. I need this, right? If you don't have that charter to say you've been approved, you can't start doing that. So that's what a project charter does. A project charter doesn't have to have all the details, right? Sometimes it can just be an email from maybe one of the steering committee members, right? But if you're a good project manager, it's always good that if they don't have a good project charter, you can help them put a good project charter in place, right? That's what some people that have this consulting experience will do. They will help them make sure that there's a project charter in place, right? So now when that project charter is in place, the next thing you do in initiating as a project manager is to identify stakeholder, right? Those are the two things you need to do under initiation. So what are you doing when you identify stakeholder? Why do you need to identify stakeholder? Because you want to know if those people are going to be affected by your project, right? So if a stakeholder is going to be affected, maybe they don't want the project, you need to start planning how you are going to manage resistance, how you are going to be able to bring them on board. Some stakeholders, they will not have power right now. Before you know it, in the next 15 minutes, it can change. They might have power. Do you know that there was a contract I got? When I got in, they said that they needed a project manager. When I got in, they now told me that the AVP want to see what do they call it? A roadmap, a product roadmap. I say you got me in as a project manager and you want me to be doing product roadmap. Well, no problem, I can do it. Guess what happened? I was in this week. The AVP said they want to see product roadmap. The next week, the AVP was moved to another department. And that is the sole reason why they got me in, because the project manager there said he doesn't really know about product, that he could not put a product roadmap together, right? That he needed someone to support, and they got me in to come and help. But the leader that was requesting for it was now moved to another department. To me, it was like, you will know that am I still needed in this place? But really, they still wanted me to just still continue to develop the product roadmap. But the person that was pressing for it was no more there. You understand what I'm saying? So that is why you want to know your stakeholder, who is impacting your project, because it can change the priority of your project at any time. So that's what you do, because it also helps with how you are going to communicate with them. Right? How do you want to communicate with them? Because some stakeholder, you send them message, they'll say, I don't know if you guys have experienced some stakeholder. You send them a message, they will reply that, please, can you stop copying me in this email? And they are supposed to be part of the stakeholders for that project. So you want to understand each of your stakeholder, how you want to be communicating with them. So that's why you want to be able to identify all your stakeholder. Or you don't want the project that you've done halfway. Someone will now come there. I wasn't even involved. I wasn't even aware. How come I wasn't copied in those emails? How come I'm not aware? Do you know what happened in that scenario? The person can shut down your project. So you want to know the power, the influence of each of your stakeholders on your project. So, and that's the job of the project manager, to identify this at the beginning. If there is no project manager, if you are the product manager, then you have to do this. Okay? Planning process. So what happens here? Now that initiation has been done, then you start planning your work. What are you doing here? So in project manager, what they do here is that they are just planning ahead of time. The project has not started, but what are they planning for? They are trying to agree on the scope, the cost, and the time. So before they start anything, they want to ensure that they have the scope of what they want to do, right? They want to ensure that we are planning ahead. What are we planning? We are defining the activities we want to look at, we want to do. For example, we want to hire people, right? So what are the things you need to do? You need to send out job description, you need to get people in, you need to conduct interview, they need to pass interview, you need to send congratulatory message. So you have those activities, you define those activities, you now sequence those activities that, okay, this must happen before this must happen after this. After you've done this, get people in, you have to conduct interview, you have to analyze those interview, then you have to tell them that they've passed the interview. So you sequence those activities. When you now sequence the activity, you now start putting budget to each of those items. So when we want to do hiring, sending out job description, how much is it going to cost us, right? Who are the people that needs to help us with this? Are we going to send it by email? Do we want to hire someone to do that? So you start putting cost to each of those lines. When you start putting cost to each of those lines, at the end of the day, you will be able to sum up to know what your budget will be on that project, right? You'll be able to sum it up and say, this is what it comes to, right? So when people do that, they also put something we call contingency. Okay, if this project is going to cost us this, but there are some things that we don't know. We call them the unknown unknowns, right? Things that we cannot see, right? So they'll say, okay, let's add 10% for the unforeseen things that can happen, right? They plan all that. Then now that they have the scope, they have the schedule, they have the budget, they say, our triple constraint is complete, but they also want to plan for communication. They want to plan for stakeholder management. You remember you identify stakeholder, now you start planning for them. You've not even started the work. You are just planning ahead. So this is what they do. As a project manager, you put all this together. When you put everything together, you agree. Sometimes you might not be doing it alone. You can have a team. We call them the project management team. You'll be putting all this work together. When everything is ready, your plan is ready, you now present your plan to the stakeholder for approval that we are about to start the project. We want to kick off the project. We want to kick off the executing of the project. This is our plan. But that plan can take time sometimes because you might be going back and forth. The stakeholder might say, no, 2 years is too long. Can you do something about it? You go back again, you look at your plan. Can you add more resources? Or if you add more resources, your costing will go up. You go back to stakeholder, oh, if you want us to do it in 1 year, we have to add more resources. It will cost us so number of more estimates, our estimates will increase in terms of the costing. You go back and forth till you agree. But when everyone has agreed, you must have the buy-in of your stakeholders. Everyone has agreed, then you can now start executing the work. So at this point in time, you are now producing deliverables. So you are now producing deliverables based on your plan. All the work you've planned, you are now implementing it. This is where you actually get the resources in, right? This is where you now say, okay, now let's bring our resources. Let's start actually implementing the work, right? It depends on what you do. This is actually where you also do your contracting. There are different kinds of contracting you have, right? We have the fixed price contract, we have the cost reimbursable, we have the time and material, right? Time and material is the one that you see that the hourly rates, those daily rates. They say, well, we need someone to help us with this project. They'll pay you on a daily rate, right? Sophie.
Yeah, sorry. Just a very quick question. Does the project management office play any role in this, in all of this initiation and planning and all that?
Yes, they play a very big role. So it depends on the organization you have. We have 3 types, right? We have the directing PMO, the supporting PMO. So for the directing PMO, they have authority. They are the one that actually say, oh, Sophie, you are the one managing this project. Mercy, you'll be managing with Aziz. This is your project. They are the one directing it. All the project is coming out from the PMO. Someone like the supporting PMO, those ones, they are not, their role is more of like, they have all the templates. Oh, I need to do work breakdown structure. Do you have a template? Do you understand? Do you have a template? Can you help us? So those are what those ones do, right? They are supporting, right? They can't do anything much, right? The project is already given to you. You go to them for support, right? Now, for the one that the controlling PMO, they are in the middle. Sometimes they have power. They are more like, I see them more like auditors. They will say, oh, are you following the framework? Are you following this? Those are the controlling PMOs, right? So it depends on the organization and the type of PMO that they have. You understand? So they play a role based on the type of. So when you get to an organization, you will know if there's a PMO and you want to understand the kind of PMO that exists, right? So if it's a directing PMO, you'll be very much aware because they are the one that will tell you the project you will be working on, right? But if it's more of a supporting PMO, you just go to them for templates. Oh, I need to do cost budgeting. Do you have several templates and a template that is already in the organization that I can use? So they will tell you direct you to the right SharePoint where you can get the details, or to the conference page where they store the template. Okay, so that's how the PMO play a part in the project management process.
But it's not possible for one PMO office to play the 3 roles like governance and designating projects and also supporting the organization.
Yeah, that's the directing PM. PMO.
Okay.
Yeah, they do everything. They direct everything from the beginning.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in executing process, what you are doing, you are now actually doing the work. You are getting the resources. So what are you doing here? For example, some of these people that will be working on your project, they report to other managers. As the project manager, you'll be having discussion with the different functional managers that, okay, I need Mercy from your team, and she's going to be helping me on testing on the project. The functional manager might say, oh, but Mercy is already on one project. She doesn't have allocation. Okay, what allocation do you want for Mercy? Is it 20% of Mercy time you want? They will look at Mercy's allocation. So you need to understand what it means to do allocation. What are the capacities, right, for each of the members of your team? Because those are the things you're going to be putting together, right, to actually implement your project. If there is no resources, they can now say, okay, can you get contractors to help you on the project? Then that's what they use that time and material for. You start getting contractors, you pay them per hour. You say, I need this contractor for 3 months to help me with quality assurance. I need this developer for 5 months. That's how you get all that. Sometimes, when they do this project, they might not even know all the things they want to do. Sometimes they might not even know the work. They might do another type of contract. We call it cost reimbursable. Just come and help us do this work. We'll pay you for the work and for helping us, like maybe another 5%. Okay, let me give an example now. So they'll say, oh, we don't know the details of the work we want to do, right? But we know that we need 5 developers, right? So help us get these 5 developers to do this work. We'll pay you for helping us to get them because we don't know how to get them. We need 5 developers to help us do this work, but we don't know how to get them. So agency, can you help us get these 5 developers? We'll pay you for these developers, and we'll also pay you for the time you spend to find them, right? That's a cost reimbursable, right? So they have different kind of contract. As a project manager, you work with the contract procurement team to manage this, and all this happen during execution. What also happened during execution is what we call team building. Now, a Scrum Master, you need to understand this also applies to you. There's something we call team building, because sometimes you get to an organization, you are going to be forming a new team. Right? When you form a new team, right, we call them there are different stages. So they are forming. That's a new team. You are bringing people together as a team. You are forming a new team. Get this straight, there will be problems because people don't understand each other. The team is still going to storm. That means they are going to have disagreement, right? Because maybe imagine they put Kemi, Sophie, Aziz, Chini, Chioma to work together on a team, right? And Chioma does not like 8 a.m. meeting, and Sophie is putting a meeting for 8 a.m. Sophie will be angry. Sophie might not even come for the meeting. And Chioma will ask Sophie maybe at 9 o'clock, but there was a meeting at 8 o'clock. Why didn't you show up? Sophie will say, it's too early. I don't like 8 o'clock meetings. You understand what I'm trying to say? So at that time, they don't know each other. They are still disagreeing, right? They are learning how to work together. That's the storming stage. Sometimes this thing gets out of hand. It's the responsibility of the project manager or the Scrum Master to ensure that the team are able to work together. When you see those issues, you know how to call them and resolve those conflicts, right? You know, you remember we put team norms together. You use your team norms to help. Like saying that, remember what we agree. We said that when we want to respect each other's opinion, you know, you use that to help them to resolve the issues, right? After they storm, they will now norm together. When they are norming together, they start building good relationship. That means they have a relationship, right? You can see that when they have that relation, the team will now start performing. When Chioma is booking another meeting, she will not book 8 o'clock meeting because she knows that Sophie will not show up. So she will book a 9:30 meeting when she knows that Sophie will be ready for the meeting. And you see that everybody is happy because they understand each other. After they perform, when the project is done, then we adjourn the project, right? It means that we disband them. Right? If a new team is formed again for a new project, so imagine there's a new team, it doesn't mean that they will always start from forming. Like if there's a new project, Sophie and Chioma is on the same project again. Sophie and Chioma already know each other. They've worked together before. In that new project, they will not be forming again. They will be norming because they will be performing because they already understand each other. It is the new people that they will now be forming and storming with. You get what I'm saying? So as a Scrum Master, you need to understand all these dynamics because it will help your team to perform better, right? It will help them to get to that high performing. When they say high performing team, these are the things you need to watch out for as a project manager or as a Scrum Master. Okay, and it happens during the executing phase, right? When the project is actually being implemented. Now, monitoring and controlling, what happens here is that as the project is going on, your role as a project manager is to keep monitoring and controlling that project. So what are you doing in monitoring? In monitoring, you are saying, this is how my project is progressing, right? Okay, I'm assessing. How is my stakeholder participating? Are they okay? Is the communication good? Is everything being all right, right? So you are checking, you are monitoring how your project is progressing. What are you doing in controlling? In controlling, what you are doing is you are saying that, oh, we plan to do, let's say, okay, let me use drywall. Okay, we plan to do drywall of this house in 10 days. You now see that when we were doing the drywall, we spent 12 days. You are now going to check with your baseline, your plan. We planned for 10 days, but we've done 12 days. Those 2 days, how does it affect my project? Is it going to increase my project time? If it's going to increase my project time, do I need to discuss with my stakeholder so that we can go to the change control board to change that timeline that 2 days has been added to my project? Or, you know, what are we going to do, right? So those are the things you do to control your project, to ensure that you are able to keep to timeline. That's what you are focusing on, right? So that as you are doing monitoring and controlling, you are doing it along. Like you just don't do it at the end. As you start the project, you'll be doing monitoring and controlling all the way through till you end the project. What do you do at the end of the project? That's the end of your project. You close your project. Your project is done. We are finally done. When you are done, you do all the administrative work. Now, remember, you cannot say your project is closed if you do not do your financial work. You have to complete your finances. That means you go to the financial department, your finance department, and say, we've completed this project. This is how much you spend. You close the book. That is when you say you've completed your project. Now, when you say you completed, you've gotten sign-off from the business that we've delivered, we've transitioned to operations. Everything has been documented. You've documented your lessons learned. Everybody have documented and say, okay, we are done. Bye-bye, the project has ended, right? So that is you working as a project manager. But you working as a product manager, you don't end, you continue because more features will be coming for that product, okay? So when you think product manager, think someone that is doing project and operations together, like is all continuation. But a project manager, it must have an end. That's the difference. You go to something new. So for people that like something new all the time, do projects. Go from one project to another project, meet new people, do different things, depending on what you like, right? So for project, it always have an end, okay? So that's the end of where we're going to stop today. Do we have any questions? Sophie, are you raising up your hand? Gafa.
Hi, Josephine. Hi.
Okay, my name is Florence.
Florence, I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Hi, Florence, yeah. My name is Gafar. Thanks for that brilliant, for always giving us a brilliant presentation. But my question is still based on concerns yesterday.
Okay.
I think it's better for us to have something like the reference materials outside the so-called recorded video. That will give us an insight and better opportunity to learn more than some people can learn very well using audio, while some prefer to have something like a print or what have you. So I'm just trying to use this opportunity to appeal to you. Maybe if you can just give us any reference materials. It might be outside this slide, but it might also be this slide for to lay our hands upon to read more. Thank you.
Okay, I'll look for reference material for you. Okay. Any other question? Okay, no question. Erica, you're raising up your hands.
Yes, thank you. I do have one question with regards to that part in the process where, let's say we're doing market research. Do you have any, like from a high level perspective, do you have any websites that you would recommend where like there's certain sites where you can just go there, select the industry and then get some high level details? Do you have any suggestions or recommendations you can share with us to assist us?
I don't have one at the moment, but I used to join a group on Clubhouse. The guys, it sent in some. I don't know. Maybe when I join again, I will request for it for the for market research. I know he mentioned some site that the guy is a product manager with Microsoft. He has a Clubhouse, so I think he has a program every Thursday. He sent some the other day, but I didn't document them. Maybe when I attend again, I will request. Hopefully, he will send that, then I can send it through.
Okay, thank you. And if there's anything, even with the financials, that would like just making sure that we've covered all the bases when we're building the business case, to make sure we've covered like all the required metrics. If there's something you can share with us, even if it's a checklist to say, okay, like you got to make sure you have your ROI, whatever else would be pertinent would be really helpful.
I have a sample of a cost benefit analysis on Excel. So maybe I can share that. It has the return on investment, MPV. It's already, the calculation is there. If you just input all your numbers, it will do the calculation for you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'll look for that and share. Okay. Remind me, so I will look for that and share.
I will. Okay. Thanks.
Great. Any other question? Okay. Can we just answer some questions? It's just 7 questions. Okay. Can we go to kahoot.it again? What we used the other time, kahoot.it. Can we go there? Let's just answer some questions and we use that to round it up. Okay, are we ready? Kahoot.it. I'll give you the pin. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so the pin is 8488510. It's showing on the screen now. Can you see my screen? Okay, great. I can see people coming in. Okay. I see people coming in. Okay. Okay. Okay, the pin is 8488510. Erica, I can see that you're having issues, right? It's going off and on for you. It's fine. Okay. So we'll start now. We'll start now. Okay, let's start. A project is started to create the following except one. So which one is a project not created for? Good job. A project is started to create the following except ongoing work, right? So when you create a project, you want to release a unique product, results, unique service, okay? So great job. Oh, Lauren, that was good. Banks, Jenny, Erica, Benzema, great job. Okay, next question. The following are characteristics of operations except this thing is funny. Yeah, good. The following are characteristics. So unique is project. Something unique is project. The rest are characteristics of operation. It's ongoing, it's repetitive, it's used to sustain the business. Okay, but project is unique. Okay, good. Okay, Noreen is still remaining there. Benzema, Abdulaziz, Erica, Obi, You climb up 9 places. Okay. True or false question. Program is a group of related projects managed in a coordinated way. True or false? Mercy, on your phone, You can't see anything on the screen. You use your phone to answer. You see the colors on your phone. Am I not sharing my screen? You use your phone to answer, right? But you see the questions on the screen, but you use your phone to answer, okay? So yes, true. A project is a group of related projects managed in a coordinated way. So that's true. So you manage it together, right? Good. Okay, Lauren is keeping her spot. Moradeke is here now. Tosin is here. Annie, you got 3 answers in a row. I know a lot of people are getting this. It's just the fastest finger that's showing on the board. Good job, everyone. Which of the following is not a type of project life cycle? Great, great. That's it. Make or buy is not, right? Make or buy is when they're talking about the software they want to buy. Are they making it? Make is like build. Are they building? Are they making, or they are buying? So the life cycle is plan-driven, change-driven, and hybrid approach. Good job, everyone. Good job. 36 people. Good job. Okay, we have Obi coming. Moradeke, yes, you still got it, but I think we have faster fingers than you. Okay, Lauren is maintaining her spots. Let's see. Which one of the following is not a project management process group? Is not a project management process group. Good job, good job. Remember, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling and closing. So there's nothing like visioning. It's not part of it. Good job, everyone. Are you sure I won't start giving out gifts? You guys are impressive. Good job. Lauren, Abdulaziz, Benzema, Tosin, and Obi maintaining their 7 players have moved up as well. So we're still dealing with fastest fingers. Good job. I can see from the graph that a lot of people are getting it. Which of these process group formally approve the start of a new project? Initiating. Oh, people say planning. No. Initiating. Planning is when you start planning for the work, right? I know there is a form of approval in planning when the plan is completed, but to start a new project is initiation. Okay? Initiation. Abdulaziz, sorry about that. Initiation started. Okay? Good job. I think this is the last question. All projects must go through closing phase. True or false? Good job. Yes, all projects must go through a closing phase. Even if the project was terminated, right? You still have to go through the closing phase. You still have to close that project. Even if you did not finish the project, we terminated it halfway. You still have to close the project. Okay? So yes, true is the answer. Well done, everyone. Well done. Great job. So for our fastest fingers, we have Tosin in the 3rd place. Well done. We have Benzema in 2nd place. Well done. And we have Lauren in the 1st place. Well done. Good job, everyone. And we have runner-up at Obi and Ine. Well done, guys. Good job. So that will end the class for today, and I will see you tomorrow. Enjoy your evening, and we speak tomorrow.
All right, good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Florence.
Good night. Bye.